They're doing like developer interviews, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and there's also like some naked dude. I don't know.
What?
You didn't see this?
No,
I think you might have a virus.
I think you're on.
Your computer might have a virus.
Yeah.
This naked guy keeps showing up on my screen every time I'm scrolling. I don't know. Bringing the depravity. I don't know, Emily. You just bringing the depravity to this show. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the JRPG Pursuit, your JRPG podcast for all things JRPG. I'm Branden.
I'm Abdallah.
And I'm Emily.
And we have a humdinger of an episode for you today, I think. I don't think I'm overstating it, because we are busting out our opinion caps. We're putting them on, and we're going to be ranking some JRPG series. And you are going to either agree with us or disagree with us and be furious. And so I hope you stick around and see how you feel at the end of this all. Because, we are ready to express some opinions to you. Before we dive into that, though, I just real quick want to extend a thank you to our members. We really, really appreciate you guys for supporting us. You've made the Discord just an incredibly fun place to hang out. If you are not a member and would like to become one, please consider doing so. You can join the Discord, and at the Pursuer level, you get access to all of the bonus episodes. We do the after show every week, so it's basically double the content. So consider it if you are not currently a member. We really appreciate those of you who are supporting us that way. So thank you. Yeah,
and today we're going to be flying into beginner JRPGs.
Beginner-friendly franchises. Okay. So, that's an important caveat because these aren't even necessarily... There's an additional wrinkle to it, right? It's not even which one is the best. It's like which one is going to be the easiest for somebody new to get into.
Yep.
So that might change things quite a bit.
Yeah, mostly speaking from... I think we could approach this multiple ways. It's probably going to be more geared towards those who are more unfamiliar with the JRPG genre, or maybe modern JRPGs. Maybe we'll lean towards that. How do you guys think we should maybe approach, I guess, this ranking?
Yeah,
I feel like we should try to look at it regardless of if it's retro or modern. I think we should just look at it as the series. And we can talk within the series if there's modern entries that are maybe better, easier to get into, and older entries that are more difficult, then we can consider that and where we decide to place it. But
this will be someone brand new, probably in 2025. They want to try JRPGs for the first time. So it'll be our ranking list of what we would just generally recommend.
Yeah. Exactly. Or like, where do we find like these games on this list? How would they sit? Like, is this something that we would recommend or not really?
Or would we say, stay away if you want your
far
friend or
away.
loved one to like JRPGs? Don't have them play this game.
So that's why we said take what we say, and get your pitchforks ready. Go to the comment section.
We welcome it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We welcome it.
We will
So how do we want to go through this list? I mean, they're all kind of just scattered here randomly. I don't see any sort of order to how they're placed. So do we want to just jump around, or
the random order, or just jump around? Yeah.
I mean, we could go in the order and then just place them where we think. Like, S being like the most friendly towards like beginners, and D being the least friendly.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And we'll acknowledge games we haven't played yet.
Exactly. So we have this little section for here, and people can see how not gamers we are.
Right. And then you can let us know in the comments if those games that we haven't played, if you think they would be beginner friendly. And then those comments will be there at the bottom of the YouTube video. So the rest of you who are watching this, check out the comments and see which games people have recommended that we just haven't played.
Yeah.
Right.
Either for yourself or if you want to get a loved one into the JRPG genre. So hopefully be a nice resource for a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. So should we get started though?
Let's do it.
We should.
So the first one on here is actually, I think I'm the only one who's played this game out of the three of us. And that's Radiata Stories.
Radiata Stories. So tell me a bit about Radiata Stories then.
Yeah.
So now this one came out at the end of the PS2 life cycle. And the interesting thing about it, and this is where it leans me, I would say higher on the easier, like to recommend kind of game situation, because it's more of a lighthearted. I mean, there is still like that whole like thing, there's good and bad happening, but the way it's told, there's a lot of like jokes. It's like it kind of cuts the tension a lot of times through it. So it's more like an easy kind of like fun adventure of a game. And also it being kind of like you have the action combat that you go into, like it switches to another screen and you're in this action combat, kind of how you do with like Star Ocean and whatnot. And so in that, I always kind of give like a little bit more action oriented RPGs a more leg up for like people who like tend to like other types of games. Just because, if you're getting into JRPGs, the closest thing you can get into is something that kind of mimics one of like an action adventure game, maybe.
Yeah, that's a bit more popular and maybe someone's played before.
Exactly.
Deep, complicated menuing is not the most, beginner friendly thing.
It's a very simple like menu system. Like the most intricate aspect to it is that you can recruit like over 100 and so many, like I think it was like over 150 characters, but it's not like a necessity. Like you can recruit as many as you find them. So like it's not really putting too much pressure on you. But there's also like multiple ways you can play the game. Like there's a split in the middle of the game where you can go pick a side. So I think it's a fun little like romp for somebody who's getting into JRPGs. I wouldn't say it's probably the best.
With it being on the PS2, though, do you think it's like accessible for new players nowadays?
Yes. If we want to take it into the context of that as well, is that it is stuck on the PS2. There is no port for this.
There's no remaster.
There's no remaster anywhere. So you need to have a PS2 to play this, or at least a backwards compatible PS3,
or an emulator.
Yes, exactly. Or emulators out there. So I would probably knock it some points for that. Like,
yeah, that's not the most accessible.
Originally,
it definitely has to lose some points for that. Yeah, unfortunately,
I was originally going to put it somewhere like around the A for just like how good of the game it is to play. But I think marking it down to maybe being a B for like, what do you guys think?
Like a low B?
Like it would be a low
C plus, B minus.
Yeah, my inclination, like I've heard you rave about this game several times, so I'm inclined to trust your judgment on it. I do think, like you said, because it's not the most accessible, just in terms of being able to play it, it does knock it down a bit. So I would be comfortable with a low to mid B.
Okay. So we'll just put it there for now.
And do you think it's not too retro that it might
it actually
lose some people? Okay.
The beauty of it is that it's very like stylized in how it looks. So if you play it, let's say on an emulator with a little bit of like upscaling and smoothing out, it looks very, very good. It's one of those games that I think age
it's not
really
too slow, like a story.
It's not super slow. Nice. It's you could get through it pretty quickly.
Okay.
If you needed to.
Then and mid B is good.
Excelente.
Okay, we'll keep that there.
Next up is Saga, which I think we'll all agree is an S tier. Perfect for all the newbies out there.
I know.
Accessible, understandable, and not at all esoteric. No, guys, Saga is crazy, right? Saga is the hardest of the hardcore series. It's crazy that it's from Square Enix. They tend to make, most of their games tend to be pretty accessible.
Exactly.
But Saga is the niche they've carved out where they're like, accessibility does not have a place here. There is no home for you here.
Yeah.
This is the craziest, most obfuscated like systems in JRPGs.
I haven't played Romance is it Romancing Saga 2?
Romancing Saga 2.
Yes, I have it, but I haven't
played it. So that might be an exception now.
Like Romancing Saga 2, I will say from the bit that I have played of it, is far and away the most accessible of the Saga games. It is still not still not going to be
beginner friendly.
It's still not going to be beginner friendly, and it's alone. Romancing Saga 2 remake is alone in a sea of just the most incomprehensible stuff. I would put it in D, and I don't dislike the Saga games. This is not me saying Saga sucks.
No,
this is me saying don't give this to your friend who is brand new.
And that's where I think like everyone needs to understand, like we're not tiering the games as whether they're good or bad. It's more of like, are we going to actually like recommend this to somebody?
This isn't going to create new JRPG fans, is what we're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the context of this D.
And speaking of not creating new JRPG fans, the next entry is Dark Souls, which I would argue strongly and vehemently is not a JRPG. But
No.
they've put it on this list, whoever made this tier list, calling it a JRPG because it's made in Japan.
Yeah.
So anything that's made in Japan, therefore, is a JRPG, which is very good. Big brain thinking. I love it. Dark Souls. Dark Souls is... I love Dark Souls. The whole Souls, From Software, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, love those games to death. I've poured so much time into them.
Yeah.
They are not accessible either. They're very
no, and I don't think they would create new JRPG fans specifically.
Definitely
they might
not.
create new Soul fans. But
they might create new action Western RPG fans because these are action Western RPGs.
Yeah.
But I do not think it would serve the purpose of creating a JRPG fan out of a beginner.
No.
So.
I don't think so.
I think that's a D.
I would put this in D just because, like you said, this is
maybe a little bit above Saga.
You think so? I feel like it would. I think it would be even less likely to make you a JRPG fan because it's not really right.
I suppose, but I think
because I don't know,
games have definitely won over people of making them interested in From Software, a Japanese publisher. They have,
but they've made people interested in
FromSoft games,
Western style FromSoft games, not JRPGs.
Yeah,
and that's the key.
Because there's a lot of people who are adamantly not JRPG fans, but love Souls.
That's
so
true.
I don't think there's a correlation directly of I love Souls, therefore I will then also love JRPGs.
Yeah. Okay, we could put that dead last now.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep Saga on dead last for the Soul.
Saga, poor Saga.
Okay,
World of Mana. This says World of Mana, but I guess this is just supposed to represent
just all of Mana. Series. I think Mana honestly is an S tier.
Mana is.
I'm gonna come in straight off the bat. It's an easy game to get into.
I will come in with a moderate amount of agreement with that. I will say that Secret of Mana is one of the few games that my wife and I have sat down and played a good. We haven't played all. We didn't finish it, but we played a good chunk of it together.
Yeah,
and she was engaged with it and able to play it and didn't feel too overwhelmed by the system.
They're usually pretty simple.
Yeah, and the remaster for Trials of Mana I thought was pretty simple and easy to understand.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Trials of Mana one, I haven't played that one yet.
It's very good.
I will also say Visions of Mana is, it's not that it's not challenging, but it's very inviting. And I think that, maybe don't start the newcomer on Visions of Mana, maybe start on Secret of Mana or Trials of Mana. But it would be a good next step. So I feel like it's a good series for getting somebody in the door and then also for providing them with the next step in the path.
Yeah.
I think so. And also the action.
It's action thing. And that's a point in its favor for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just aesthetically pleasing most of the time. It just looks beautiful. And so it's easy to kind of sell somebody hey, look at this big world, especially if you look at Visions of Mana. It's a very big, expansive world that you can run around and have fun in and explore. It's great. And the same thing with the aesthetics across Trials of Mana and even Legend of Mana and things like that. There's just, their aesthetics are so cozy almost in a way that it can kind of bring in people who are even part of the cozy scene who aren't necessarily Japanese.
It's bright and colorful too.
Exactly. So I think it's it's a good starter place to go there.
Yeah. And I think throughout the franchise, there's a lot of accessibility because they've brought back all the retro stuff. You want to try some of the older games, and then they have some of the more modern titles. So you have a wide variety of ones that you could play.
Exactly. I don't think there's not one Mana game that you can't play on modern consoles anymore. If you think about it, because they've had the collection, they have Trials, and they have Vision and Legend of Mana remaster too.
Sword that was
Dawn and Sword.
Dawn.
Well, Sword is a remake of Final Fantasy Adventure.
Yeah,
you want to split hairs technically, but it's not. It's quite different.
And
it's
Dawn
quite different.
And Dawn, I would probably put as a D tier. Game.
Dawn is not spoken of.
So I wouldn't recommend that in general. So that's probably for the best.
There's enough there though that I might even say it's an S.
We could put it an A for now, and then if we want to bump it up later,
let's put it in A and let it cool down. Let's let our emotions cool.
We want
and see how we feel.
Yeah. You want to put it in A?
Let's put it in A for now.
Okay. It might change. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. So next, are also is a good one. Is Xenoblade Chronicles series.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
I'm going to come out of the bat and say that I don't think it, despite my love for this game, I don't think it's beginner friendly.
I would have to agree because unfortunately, I've noticed on my channel when I would, talk about my love for the Xenoblade franchise, I've had a lot of people approach me, tell me like they tried the first game and they just could not wrap their head around the battle system.
I was going to say, Tala said it's not very beginner friendly. I would argue it's not super pro friendly either. It's very,
I was like,
it's very challenging.
When we were doing
in its systems,
when we were doing the stream yesterday with My Life in Gaming, there was people in the chat saying there's a lot, it's very busy. There's a lot of stuff going on the screen and we're trying to figure out what to do in certain scenarios in terms of there's so many mechanics in that game that are not and there's so many things that it tries to teach you in little boxes. So it does a lot. So we love the games and we rave about them. It's one of our favorite series.
They're S-tier games, however.
But if I was trying to win someone over to the JRPG world, I probably wouldn't start there.
It wouldn't be the first recommendation.
I'll push a little bit and say that even though they are not easy to pick up and play in terms of fully understanding the battle system, there is something to say for the compellingness of the world and the story and the characters and
a unique
even
experience.
The performances of the actors and everything else about it is such a positive experience that even when I, as someone who didn't fully understand a lot of the battle systems in most of the games, just brute forced my way through it. And I was able to do that. I definitely don't think it's a D tier.
No.
As far as getting somebody new on board. I would almost even say that
it's a high C, I think.
It's either a high C or a low B, just because there's so many elements in there that I think would be gripping for somebody that would make them want to stick it out and either figure out the battle system or do what I did and just brute force your way through it.
I think out of all of the Xenoblade games too, the third one is maybe the most accessible.
I was going to say,
I agree.
I was 100% going to say that, with the caveat, the fact that it is kind of reliant on playing the first two in terms of just storyline. So
not necessarily.
I think the DLC is, but I don't know so much about
I don't think the base game.
The base game does kind of reference a lot, though.
It does reference,
but it's not necessary.
I guess it's not necessary. Okay.
I think each of the mainline Xenoblade games can be played on their own, and they're
self-contained stories.
They're self-contained, yeah. And the same
part.
as with any series that has continuing storylines. You get bonuses, you get extra, information. You feel great seeing cameos and whatnot, and I don't discredit that, but I think they stand alone really well.
That's true.
I think someone could have a good time just playing the third game.
Yeah, that's true.
If you wanted to play 3 and you liked it, then go back and play 1 and 2. Play X, play them all.
Yep.
So what do you think? Are you more inclined to high C or low B? Or
I would put it in a low B, but if we want to put it in a high C for now and see how we feel as we get more on the board, that's fine.
C plus for now.
Okay, we'll put it right there, and then we'll see where things go. All right, moving on to Paper Mario. Honestly, it depends on the Paper Mario game because, I have to say,
one.
Yeah, post Thousand Year Door, it does start to you have the one on the Wii it's not a JRPG, it's like a platformer, and then you have the Sticker
Star
is just terrible game.
I would say it qualifies as a JRPG, but it's not. I didn't like it.
To me, I remember I was living in Japan and I wanted a physical version of that, the American version. So I had my family ship one over. Well, actually, no, I had a friend in Japan that was going to visit back home. And I was like, on your way back, can you also bring the game and give it to me? And I'll pay you and everything. And they're like, okay, yeah. And then I got it. And then I was so excited. I was like, oh man, Paper Mario, this is going to be great. And it just broke my heart. I was like, I went through all that trouble.
Yeah. It broke my heart as well.
And I was so disappointed. Oh man.
And the one on the Switch,
I never played Color Splash on the Wii U.
I hear that out there. I never played that one. I'd never heard anything.
I heard middling things about it.
Origami King, I think it's called.
The Origami
for the
King
Switch.
is the Switch. Yeah.
I hear it's actually not as like. I hear it's actually pretty decent. It's not perfect.
Battle system looks weird though.
I hate it, you guys. I'm so sorry to everybody. Like, I hate it so much, and it's just the battles. It's just the battle system.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it.
I can't imagine that's beginner friendly at all though.
Yeah, no,
I would say that it
everything?
is. Honestly, I would say that like at least the first two are.
Yeah.
They're kind of designed that way, but if you're looking at the series as a whole, then that's when we have to have the discussion of how many points does it lose for, Color Splash or Sticker Star or Super Paper Mario straight up not being a JRPG.
Because Super Paper Mario
Origami
is
King
a great game.
Making me the maddest I've ever been at a video game. I hated it, guys.
I love
it.
Super
I
Mario.
didn't try it because it looked awful.
Like Super Paper Mario is actually a game I wish they would bring back, just as like its own thing. Because like it's actually
cool
a really,
thing.
it's fun. It's a really fun game. It's just not a Paper Mario game that, as you want to like think of it. It's like it is a fun paper adjacent Mario game.
Yeah, I'd be cool if Paper Mario was like a sub franchise and they did different kinds of games within Paper Mario. You have your platformer Paper Mario and you have your RPG Paper Mario. That's cool. So I'm okay with Super Paper Mario not being a JRPG. The issue was it was the follow up to Thousand Year Door, which is just an incredible role playing game, and so that was a big letdown. But.
And
honestly,
the 1,000 Year Door, I thought, was pretty beginner friendly, especially some of the quality of life things they've done on the Switch version.
Yeah. Like the Switch version, I would say like it's almost the perfect beginner JRPG because it's like it's Nintendo Mario. Like you've got Mario that's adjacent to like bring anyone in. Like if you're a Mario fan, even if you're not a JRPG fan, you'll enjoy that.
Like most people know who Mario is if you
exactly. And the mechanics are fun. Like you have the time button, like battle system, which is just it's fun for most people.
It's pretty forgiving for the most part.
And it's got the funny like aspects to it. It's just an all around great game. And so I think like if we were just looking at it from 1,000 Year Door, I would say it's an S tier. Like get in there, like perfect game to recommend to somebody. Yeah, like just play that and you'll get an experience of how JRPGs are, but not have to on a more
the rest of this
scale.
series definitely brings it down.
Would we say C then?
I would say low B.
Yeah, I would say low B.
Low B, okay.
Because it is more accessible than Xenoblade. As far
100%.
as the goes.
Okay,
it's going to be more accessible than that. So.
The games, despite them being
kids too.
It's geared towards kids.
And for them like not being like some of them not being that great, they're still easy games to play.
And they are almost without exception, they are funny and witty and really cool in terms of the story and like the characters and everything that they. Origami King had some legitimately like laugh out loud. Funny moments. It's just the moment to moment gameplay between those moments. I wanted to pull my hair out, and I like my hair, so you see the problem. So I would say low B for now.
Okay.
Oh, on like a different tab.
You missed it. There it is.
There it is.
And I think we want low to be farther away from the.
Yes, we want it away from the.
There we go. Okay.
Letters.
Alundra.
Is that okay? First off, is there any modern way to play Alundra? I don't think so.
It's on the
PS3, right?
PS3
PSN,
digital storefront.
Yeah.
So you can play on the PS3 and the Vita, right?
Yeah, it's not
on the
most
PS4.
accessible, but it's not completely inaccessible.
Okay, so there is a way to do it. It's not ideal. It's not for everyone. Not everyone's going to have a PS3 or a Vita sitting around, especially like people who are getting into JRPGs are probably playing more modern like PS4 or 5 items. So like it's not the most, but in the vein of like the type of game it is, I think it is a pretty straightforward kind of like Zelda-like adventure with JRPG like mechanics built into like how you level up and how you do things like that, like the skills and
it is definitely Zelda with the JRPG dial turned up like 4 or 5 notches, right?
Yeah. So like it is a great game, and the story, the first game is a very like it's a great story, filled with like lots of sadness and other things that go on in that.
It goes to some dark places.
Yeah, it gets pretty dark, and so like it's actually a pretty like compelling story and game, and so I'm biased because I just bought that not too long ago with Branden, but I don't know if it's definitely like it's a recommend, but like it's also not.
If someone was just to be thrown that game, would they get into it quickly if they've never played a JRPG before?
It's also, I mean, and it's also from that perspective not the greatest ambassador for JRPGs because it's not fully there. I would put it below Xenoblade personally.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would still say it's like it's not a D tier.
I wouldn't call it
even
a D.
like the Zelda elements. I would see it like an appeal for that.
Yeah,
in a way, yeah. Although it is a bit, it's not. It doesn't have the level of gameplay polish that you would expect in a Zelda game. So I would even put a Zelda game, which are not really considered JRPGs. I might put a Zelda game above it. Not to say that Alunder's a bad game.
No.
It's a great game. It's just not as accessible in my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Like it's not as refined a battle. Like the action combat is not as refined as Zelda. It's good, but it's not as refined. So like you take it as you go. But it is a very good game, and I would recommend it to people. But I don't know if it's like the first thing I would think of to recommend somebody who's getting into JRPGs.
So we're thinking mid-C, low-C?
Yeah,
probably will end up low C. It could end up high D. I wouldn't even object to that if it ended up high D. But I think for now
we can keep it right
low
there.
Low C makes sense.
We'll see where it ends up. Moving on to Valkyrie Profile, or the Valkyrie series in general. So you have Valkyrie Profile for the PS1, and then you have Valkyrie Profile 2 for the PS2, which is not really like. You can't really play that unless you have a PS2.
They had a remake-ish, right, on the PSP?
No, that was for Valkyrie 1.
That's the first one. The first one was
sorry. 2 has never been remade or anything. Correct. So it's kind of stuck on the
DS.
There's
a
tactical one,
spin-off.
yes.
Tactical one.
Yeah. And then you have the PS4 5
one recently.
The action combat one.
That I don't think was that well received. I'll admit I have very little experience with Valkyrie Profile. I played a bit on the PSP, but we're talking 16 years ago. So my memories are not fresh. Yes. I don't remember it feeling exceptionally accessible, but I don't know.
I just know the DS game is notoriously difficult.
Yeah, the DS game I would not recommend. Just the tactical game, I don't think it's a very refined tactical game.
Do the three of us have enough personal experience that we would be comfortable putting it in D, or should we put it in didn't play? That's where
I was put in didn't play.
I'd say like the first game is very good. Like I would put that probably somewhere between low B, high, like, or like
in terms of accessibility, or
because like it is an action combat game, and it's a 2D action combat. So you're it's not
action though, right? You use the different face buttons, but it's like to make your different characters attack. I thought.
No, when you're moving through.
I mean, it is 2D and you're moving, but I thought when you got into battles,
you can move through
battle system. Then you use the different buttons.
Kind of how the old Star Ocean looked. It has like that same look, I think, from what I remember. It's been some time actually.
I need to look. Hang on one second.
Maybe refresh a bit. But if we can only really speak on one of the games of the whole series, maybe we should just put that all as didn't play, since we can't speak to maybe the other ones as well.
Yeah. Oh wait, there's a battle. Hang on. I want to see how these play because I remember it being like side scroller action, but then when you go into a battle, your characters stand next to each other. Yeah,
it's kind of got that like a turn-based view of like how Tales of / except instead of being action.
So it's turn-based.
It's turn-based.
You go to a battle screen. You have your 4 characters that stand in a diamond shape, like the face buttons on your controller. And you use the different face buttons to have them attack. And everybody's stationary, so it's not. I wouldn't say it's action. It's
it's not.
It's like it's a very interesting turn-based
action,
system.
But it's not the battle.
Yeah, it's very interesting turn-based. But anyway, as far as accessibility goes, I don't remember. I would, if you wanted to make a strong argument for putting it in like a B or a C, okay, but I have nothing to contribute.
I don't know. What I've seen of clips of it, it doesn't seem the most user friendly.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I can make a compelling argument right now because it's been so long since I played it.
Okay, let's say we didn't play it.
I'll put it in didn't play for now.
Just to be safe.
Yeah.
So that we're not,
I'll have to replay it because I haven't played it since.
You guys should let us know how beginner friendly.
Let us know if it's accessible. That's the first one that we'll beg your assistance on.
Yeah, yes. It's been a while. I've not played Demon Tower.
Pandora's Tower.
Sorry.
Was part of that Operation Rainfall on the Wii. Seems very dark, kind of grim dark even.
Not accessible.
Because
it's even a pricey
I don't know how you'd
game
play it
now.
outside of the Wii, and also I haven't played it, so
I haven't played it.
Okay, well, we're gonna put that in didn't play as well.
Didn't play.
Dragon Quest.
Well, I'm a little biased in that this was my first Japanese role-playing game.
Yes.
So it literally did get me into the genre.
Yeah.
But in a world where there are so many more options, does that still mean it's the best? I don't know.
I would say Dragon Quest 11, the latest entry of the main series. So you have, of course, all these different spin-offs and things. Was very, I think, beginner-friendly.
I think
the traditional turn-based systems. 8 probably as well.
Yeah.
8 is very similar to 11, so yeah, I'd agree. It's pretty accessible.
And with the new HD 2D stuff of the older games.
Honestly, I think it's like the most accessible in terms of it's
pretty accessible, and I imagine the DS titles might get a similar,
Yeah.
They might. I mean, we can't rank it based on
that, of course, now
on speculation, but like,
But there are enough games that are accessible if you want to get into it,
and lots of spin-offs.
And a lot of spin-offs.
They have a Pokemon-esque one with their
monsters.
The monsters one.
They have treasures. They have
treasures.
They have the Minecraft one. Let me throw this at y'all and get your take on it. So one thing I noticed when I was trying to get my wife Jen, into some different JRPG franchises.
Are you sure your wife? You had to specify. I wanted to make sure.
Well, I realized I'm talking to you guys, but I'm also talking to a podcast audience that might not know, A, that I'm married, and B, that my wife's name is Jen. So I wanted to clarify. My wife, Jen. Not if you know a random Jen, I'm probably not talking about her. So when I was trying to get her into various JRPGs, she found like menu-based combat and trying to figure out what all the different spells did really hard and not super fun and not super engaging. So I'm thinking in Final Fantasy, and that was the game that I had her try, a lot of the spells are pretty straightforward. You've got your fire, you've got your fire 2, fire 3. It seems to make a logical sort of sense.
Yeah.
In Dragon Quest, you have fizz.
Yeah, it's a lot more.
Ka-fizz and fizzle and ka-fizzle and boom and bang. The way they name the spells is so quirky and so cute.
True.
And also I forget what the spells do sometimes because they're so oddly named.
I always forget.
So is there any should we talk about that a little bit?
You have to use the spells, right?
Well, you don't have to, but it's a key element of the game though. So I don't think we can overlook it. Like if it's
true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't dock it.
Depends on how experimental someone is.
I wouldn't dock it a full letter grade for that, but I do think it's worth pointing out that if you are coming into the genre as a complete newcomer and you've got a list of spells in front of you and you're like, what do any of these things mean? Yeah. That might trip you up. So worth considering. I would say.
And also just the menus in general are not always the most beginner friendly. Like that's something I would never have my mom play because she can't even like organize folders on a computer. So it's it's not, for everyone.
Well, the way I think of it is like, even if they're, let's say we're talking about beginners, they might be like well versed in gaming in general.
I would hope so.
Like other genres of gaming. So like they'll know how to get through menus and do these things. It's whether they're going to like it or not is going to be a whole different thing.
I think also we might assume they have some level of technology awareness.
Yeah. So
when you have that, at least you could kind of pick up the speed or kind of learn much more easily.
That's like the thought process I had. Like the beginner is still, they're not a beginner in video games. They're a beginner in like JRPGs, maybe.
They might be though, and I do want to push on that because they might be. Because Jen is, I'm using Jen as my example because I went through this literally with her, a few months ago. She's played some video games. She's not. It's not like she's never played a video game before.
Yeah, but
her prior video game experience did not prepare her for turn-based JRPGs at all. Yeah. So I just want to make sure that we're cognizant of that because I don't want to limit who we're talking to just people who have video game experience but are maybe thinking about JRPGs.
She did take to Undertale though, right?
She did do Undertale. That was, more. There's the combat in that is more.
Which is actually harder because it's like bullet hell.
Yeah, it's action. Especially it's bullet hell based.
Yeah. Which is even
she did the pacifist route, which is the hardest.
That's the hardest, yeah.
But she felt very emotionally like she wanted to do that, so she stuck it out.
I understand that. I did a pacifist run on that one as well, and it's not easy.
Me too. It is not. So anyway,
I think for like a Dragon Quest, like
having said all that,
like for me,
I'd say B.
I would still give it like. Because like 11 is such
11 would be an A.
11 is great. Like I think 11 is fantastic. And if it's your first JRPG, I think you could do far worse than Dragon Quest 11. I would argue for a high B.
3. Yeah.
I would argue for a high B.
Also, if we take into account, though, the side games that, some have some more cozy elements or other types of gameplay. So if they wanted to start off with that, maybe that would, like Dragon Quest Builders or something, if they've done Minecraft before, maybe an easy transition.
You know what? That's actually a really freaking good point. So if we're talking about Dragon Quest series, there is actually so many entry points here for people. So looking at it from that,
honestly.
Looking at it from that perspective, it's an S. It's an S.
Yeah.
Mainline entries, mainline series, I would put it at a high B. But if we're looking at the whole spectrum of Dragon Quest, it's an S because there are so many avenues to get on board.
Exactly, because you could be starting.
Art style's so charming.
Yeah, you could be starting with
art style is great. The music,
like you could start with builders and other things, and then like you'll see these other like the JRPG versions of those games coming out, and you're like, I already love this like series of games, and like it'll push you into wanting to try it. So like.
I think so.
It is a perfect series that kind of like eases you in.
It's a gateway drug.
Exactly.
I think so.
Gateway drug.
So many entry points there.
Okay. So moving on.
Our first S.
Yes, first S. Of course, it's Dragon Quest. Next is Disgaea.
And go.
I'm gonna say it's not
D.
It's like
for that one.
I'm more inclined to say yes, D, just because it's a niche even within JRPG lovers that like it's like it's a more hardcore space. It's fun.
It's very hardcore.
Like story wise, it's funny. It's interesting. The characters are quirky and things like that. So like that's
though you have to have a certain type of humor. Like it's not for everyone.
For sure. It's not for everybody.
It would bring people in from the aesthetics, but the gameplay I think is very like it's a very hardcore gameplay. Like you're but grinding also there's a lot.
Like it doesn't really easy way in.
No.
It's not an easy way into other types of JRPGs, even the tactical space, because it's so different. Because you'll just be thinking, how do I maximize my combos and get whatever damage? The other ones don't work like that.
Like
it's
I'm just
very
D
hard.
Without
I would put it. I would say D. Let's put it above Saga because of the quirky, charming elements that I don't think Saga is particularly known for.
No,
it's a little more serious.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think that was great.
Parasite Eve. Now,
interesting. Yeah,
this one also is kind of because I think you can play on the PS3. Is there a digital version on the PS3?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can still play.
So it's not like it's slightly accessible, but not really, because like most, I don't know, not so many people are busting out their PS3 these days. Like we talked about earlier, is that, and then also like it is interesting because it can pull in people who are interested in like Resident Evil and those kind of like types of survival horror type games. And the JRPG like mechanics in the game are like easy enough, and it's like kind of it's almost like, you know, you're moving around and the menu system is pretty simple, I think, for what it is. It's not a very hard game, like in terms of like complexity, in terms of like the gameplay. True. Like you're not looking at it like as a, I don't know how much I'd like it, because I say all these good things about it because I do enjoy the game.
For the right person, I think it could be perfect.
Yeah.
But how many of those people are there?
But I would say too that it is part of a series, and there's only one game in the series that's a JRPG.
Yeah, the second game isn't.
The second one is a survival horror game. The third one is like a run and gun.
The PSP one?
Yeah, the PSP third birthday. Which I think they lost the rights to the Parasite Eve name, so it's just called the third birthday.
Yeah.
But
So it's unlikely going to be a gateway drug to JRPGs.
Like the first game.
The first game could
a
potentially
little bit.
You have to be willing in 2025 to deal with just the most extreme level of PS1 jank.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The backgrounds are blurry as all hell, and
there's no like
the character models are not great. So if you are cool with that, if you are a gamer of a certain age and you grew up playing PlayStation 1 games, it's not going to be shocking. It might even be nostalgic.
Sure. If you're like a retro gamer who enjoys PS1 era / like that kind of like PS1 Saturn, that kind of world.
Based on the strength of the first Parasite Eve, I might put it at a low C. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I was thinking C.
Yeah, like behind Alundra right now.
Behind Alundra, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's like for right now until we see where we'll
see how everything else falls.
Moves, but I think that's a pretty decent spot for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Suikoden.
We just got those remasters.
Yeah, we have the remasters for 1 and 2. So there's at least 2 games people can play. That's it. The rest are stuck on the PS2. So there's emulation there. Or else you have the PS2 games and a PS2 handy.
Some of those are pricey, right?
Yes. So like 5 and 6 or 5.
5 is really expensive.
Is there a 6? I don't remember.
There's a 6 one, but it was on DS. It was like
that was a
Seer Christ or Seer Christ or something.
One. Yeah.
I don't. That's the only one I don't have.
And then there's Suikoden Tactics too.
And Tactics as well, right?
Okay, so if we were just doing 1 and 2, I think they're pretty accessible. It's not the most. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the most engaging for a lot of people who are getting into JRPGs. Probably,
as long as it's just recruiting characters, right?
I mean,
there's like, your army.
There's a lot of that for sure.
Yeah, like it's those games are incredible. I'm just trying to think of it from the perspective of somebody who's like hasn't played a JRPG, getting into that.
Graphics, like I think the remaster they look okay, but they still might look kind of funny to people because it's not what you think of the traditional, 16 or 32-bit, sprites work.
Kind of like tall, thin.
Yeah,
they're a little bit wonky looking.
Yeah, some points in its favor. I would say, particularly Suikoden 1 is very short, so you can get in, have a full experience with the game, and be done.
Yeah,
and it's not going to take 40, 50, 60 hours. It's like
100%,
15, maybe 20 if you're.
The story's not the most memorable, right?
Story's not the greatest.
Not in the first.
There's some memorable moments in it, I will say, but it's not the best in the series. Suikoden 2, and if we're talking about 1 and 2 primarily as the most accessible ones, Suikoden 2 is great.
Yeah,
in terms of its story, it's much, much, much better.
Yeah,
and it's also a longer game for people that are wanting more content.
Yeah, the combat's not too difficult.
The combat is very simple.
That's true.
Yeah.
It is
so
very
that's
simple.
kind of in its favor.
Yep.
For a beginner.
I think so.
You can, honestly, if you don't mind doing a little bit of grinding, you can kind of just put battles on auto in Suikoden 1.
Yeah.
And never touch. Like you'll be fine. So it is pretty easy from that perspective too. If you're comfortable playing with a guide, if you want to get all the characters, which is kind of the main selling point of the series, you will want to play with a guide, because the way you go about getting the characters and the fact that some of them, A, you can completely miss, and B, they can die in like a storyline sort of way, thereby blocking you off from getting the true ending if you don't do certain things, or even if like you have to get certain characters to a certain level. This is like infuriating to think about, but you have to get certain characters to the right level.
Sell those manuals somehow.
In order to have them survive certain scripted battles. And if they don't survive, then oops, you are never going to get the good ending. Like you're never going to get the true ending.
Okay. Start over from the beginning.
I think like taking that into account, I do find it from a beginner friendly perspective. Like if you learned that like you played this game and you didn't get the true ending because you didn't do it a certain way, and it was a very like
a bit defeating,
esoteric way of getting this true ending.
Yeah.
That would kind of drive me nuts a little bit.
But also, I don't think guides are super beginner friendly.
No, the guides.
Like now that they're so accessible on the internet, but people are like, why would I need a guide if I'm playing a game? Like, I think it's not as straight, like it's like widely accepted, I think, in other genres, if they, game in other genres, than it is right now in JRPGs.
Yeah. Honestly,
I didn't realize that.
I would say, like, my opinion, that these, like, based off of like the remasters, so like those are the ones that you can really get your hand on easily. It would probably be like a low B, like behind Paper Mario, but not as complicated as like Xenoblade Chronicles in C.
Yeah.
I could support a low B for sure.
Yeah.
That works for now.
Like it's a bit, because of the simplicity of the battle system and things like that, I think it'd be easy. And like it being an easy way to play the first game, very short game, and then jumping straight into the second game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just makes it a seamless process. So like,
yeah,
all right.
For sure. SMT. Shin Megami Tensei.
Ah, man. Shin Megami Tensei. So this one.
They're good games.
They're great games.
They have some notorious difficulty.
Don't know. Like it depends on the kind of person that you're dealing with. But like, I wouldn't say it could be a good gateway drug for people who really love like hard games and like Pokemon as like an adjacent
more
thing.
For Pokemon.
The Pokemon angle is interesting. Yeah.
But I think overall there are other Pokemon alternatives.
Yeah.
But there are, I think, some entries in SMT that are more beginner friendly.
Yeah.
Like Devil Survivor on the 3DS was pretty beginner friendly. They'll just, and you have the ability to choose easy mode.
Yeah.
Which is
some of
like
the modern remasters and remakes do have difficulty options, which does help quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
That might drag it out of D for me, actually. The fact that so many of them that are playable now do have difficulty options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I was thinking low C personally, because there's some cool entries that people could be intrigued. Like, oh, cool, I want to play more of these. Giving them a try.
Right.
They're just not the run of the mill, I think, easiest games to get into, especially if you're easily frustrated.
Yeah, I would put it like maybe above Parasite Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are enough entries that would.
There's more variety there for sure. So I think it gets a few more points.
Yeah. Just because like I think there is more, and plus it's like more interesting aesthetically. Like it might pull people in from just
the premise is pretty cool for most of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that's just kind of a cool way for people to come in. The next one, Yokai Watch. I've not played any of them. I do have the first game, but I've never played it.
I have also never played.
I've never played them. I do hear the battle system's interesting.
Yeah.
Though you have to learn it. It's a lot different than, say, Pokemon.
Yeah. Like I imagine it's very beginner friendly because it's catered towards kids.
It is catered towards kids.
So those of you who have played it, let us know in the comments.
Let us know
how beginner friendly you think it is. We're
and especially the different iterations of that battle system. I hear it does kind of evolve each game.
Bony Souls and the other one.
And the fourth one we never got.
Yeah.
And the fourth one we never got.
Let's see. Bravely Default.
Bravely Default. To heroically go into debt. Or to heroically, what is it? I'm trying to figure out a word for default
bankrupt?
that isn't default. To heroically bankrupt yourself. Bravely Default.
So
on the 3DS, like I think when that initially came out, a lot of people were kind of confused with the tutorial, I would say, if they haven't played a JRPG before, especially not something like the early Final Fantasy games.
And they're not easy games either.
No, the default systems kind of takes, you have to think about it.
You have to think about it. You do have to grind a lot to
yes.
The grinding is real.
Especially that first game, right? Like towards the end, it's like a whole grind fest.
Well, and then you're doing, in the end of the first game, you are having, it's testing your patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a very real way.
Yeah.
I would say that I
think the second game on the Switch, though, is supposed to be better.
It's a game that is built on the foundations of Final Fantasy. Like it's basically the answer to what happened to Final Fantasy. It used to be turn-based.
Yeah. It's
Bravely Default now. That's what that gameplay system is. So I don't know that it's a great entry point for people because it's relying so much on the foundation of this completely other separate series to come in with it. Like I could jump into a Bravely Default game, know what's going on because I've played all these other games. If it was my first, I think I would probably be as confused.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of vocabulary and stuff that you just wouldn't understand without looking up stuff.
And my biggest thing is just the level of like grind that has to come with that. Because like that in itself, like if you're not like us, I love grinding as like a JRPG lover because like that's what comes with the territory, and it's I find that like mind-numbingly enjoyable sometimes. But like for a normal person who would sit there and be like, I have to sit here for 6 hours grinding out to like beat this boss, that might turn them away from JRPGs.
It could. Do you wonder with the HD remaster if they've added some quality of life in that regard?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but
interestingly enough, they added quality of life to the US version of the first one, right? They added the ability to speed up battles and turn them off, I think, in some cases.
Yeah, you could.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if that was in the Japanese original, or maybe it was, but they put in some decent quality of life things from the get-go.
Yeah.
I think because they knew that it was like,
they knew.
this is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Bravely Default. I think they're all fantastic. I'm excited to play it again on the Switch 2 in digital-only format. Everyone, digital only.
Well, hey, maybe PlayAsia will
actually come to the rescue. We'll see.
We don't know.
We don't know, though.
We don't know, though.
But, figuring where this goes, I kind of want to put it maybe under...
I would say under Xenoblade, personally.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's easier to understand than Xenoblade.
But is it...
How would Jen feel about it?
If she were to play the two games
before playing Final Fantasy IV, you gave her this one instead.
Yeah, I don't know. Fair point. She might. I feel like it's a flip of a coin, so we can put it there. That's fine.
We could see it probably maybe
because you could, as we kind of mentioned, with Xenoblade, you could brute force it. You don't actually have to understand the mechanics at all, and you can still have a good time.
And you can put it on easy.
Choose all your skills and just keep.
Yeah, you could definitely put it on easy and fly through it.
Like you can
difficulty options.
Yeah, it is pretty easy to get through if you put it on easy and just do whatever you need.
Whereas Bravely Default doesn't have that. I think at this time.
Does it not?
No,
I thought it did.
I don't
think there's a way just to fly through the battles without like auto battles or anything like that.
I don't remember, but then again, it's been a while.
It does have difficulty options: easy, medium, and hard.
I don't think easy was that easy though, but I could be mistaken.
Somebody tell us.
You can modify the rate of random encounters or disable them altogether.
But you still need to level up.
Yeah, that's just random encounters. You still have, those gates in each story. Like you have to beat the boss and stuff.
Correct. Yeah. You don't have to get stuck in random battles, but you do need to engage with them in order to proceed.
Yeah.
Level up.
And I think like from a story perspective, I think Xenoblade will probably pull you in.
It's gonna more compelling, hold more sway.
Exactly. All right. So moving on to Breath of Fire. Now this one is not accessible, really.
No.
There's no way to play any of them. Is
Is
there a mobile port of like the first two or something?
I don't
know.
Well, Breath of Fire 1 and 2 is on the NSO, isn't it?
No.
Might be.
Yes, it is. I think so, isn't it? NSO Breath
I thought
of
that's
Fire.
what people wanted, but it never happened.
Or was it on the Wii U? I don't remember. No, it is. Breath of Fire is on there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on Nintendo Switch.
I was mistaken.
Yeah.
The first two are.
So the first two are on there. So,
It was 3 and 4 they wanted. That's what I'm thinking of.
So there is at
is
least
PlayStation. They're on PlayStation.
Yeah, they're on PlayStation. So those are
Okay.
I don't
So
think
I think you can still buy those on the PSN, but again, just on the PS3 or Vita.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not the biggest Breath of Fire fan. I want to like it more, especially the second game. I'm really intrigued by Breath of Fire 2. I think the combat is pretty straightforward. So from that perspective, it's maybe not the worst of the old school type games to give to somebody, but
It's not make you fish.
There's some fishing. I don't know how much they make you do it.
It is on PS3 and PS Vita. I do remember I do have it digitally. I know I have 4. I think 3 is also on there. I imagine they're both on there if they have 4. They must have put 3.
I would assume so. The official localization of Breath of Fire 2 is so bad as to be
terrible.
Sometimes misleading. So that's a concern.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like just for accessibility and
It's not the greatest.
translation
You have to
issues.
subscribe to NSO to play the first two officially. You'd have to buy them on a 2 generations dead console to play the third and the fourth. The fifth one, forget about it. You're just not. It's a PS2 game.
But like the battle mechanics, I haven't played them. Are they fairly
They're pretty straightforward.
They're pretty straightforward.
Yeah, they're
that
pretty
does give it
typical.
a few points. I think it's not overly complicated.
And like let's say 3 and 4 are beautiful looking. Like
Yeah.
They
for
are.
PS
4's art style. I love the art
4's
style.
art style is one of the best
It's
PS1 like JRPG like aesthetics they had, because like they just the sprites in that like 32-bit like looks so good. Everything about that game is just very beautiful. Like that's why I would really love to see like just a remaster of that game.
This is just a small tangent, but I feel like a lot of what people in the modern scene associate with like 16-bit retro is actually 32-bit retro, and they don't quite realize it. So when like Sea of Stars comes out, they're like, "Oh, it's just like the 16-bit JRPGs we grew up on." It's like, no, bro, that's like a 32-bit game.
Yeah,
but you aren't getting that kind of animation, that kind of level of detail on a 16-bit game. Like
that's a Saturn game,
that's
right
a 32-bit. That's a Saturn game or a PlayStation 1 game for sure. But
100%.
Anyway, just a thought.
But so yeah, like I think accessibility really knocks it down a place. The 5th game is not good. I bought it.
It's weird.
Yeah,
it's not normal. It's very strange.
It's like a roguelite JRPG.
It's a roguelite from the story. It's very I don't know.
So you have to like play the game multiple, because like you'll just have to like you'll die, or like the game will end and then you'll have to start over, and then it'll like carry over certain things like a roguelite. I don't know, like there wasn't a lot of roguelites at the time, so like
it was ahead of its time.
I don't know if it's like if I would play it now would I think differently, but I don't know.
I don't know. The latent hipster in me wants to like it. Well, I want to be like quirky and weird and like that game. I just have not been able to get myself there.
Yeah,
I would put Breath of Fire below SMT, but I would put it on a C.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more.
Okay.
It's above Parasite, just because 3 and 4 are just
because there's
really
4 games in the series too, and Parasite Eve only has the one that's a JRPG. So,
and they are good games. Like you can play. Let's say like there's people who have like fan translated the second game online. If you want to emulate that, which is like infinitely better experience. Yeah. So like there are options out there, but yeah, like I think they are good games if you can get your hands on them. Next,
Code Vein.
I don't think I've ever played this game.
I
did play it. I did play it. Also not a Sorry.
It's not JRPG, right? It's like
not
more...
a JRPG. It's a Dark Souls style Western, but it's made with anime characters. So
anime,
I guess
maybe
it's slightly more Japanese than Dark Souls.
So maybe just like right there.
It's just above Dark Souls, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Keep in mind, I don't even personally, to the audience I'm speaking now, but personally, I don't even think Code Vein or Dark Souls should be on this list.
No, it should not be.
Take that as for what it's worth, putting them in D because they're not applicable. But
no,
it's not going to make.
I have played it, so I can't say I didn't play it, but it was fine. It was it was a decently fun game. I didn't get all the way through it, but it was okay.
Yeah, no, I love Dark Souls games, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't put it in this one. So
Xenogears.
This is a hard one because all of me wants to put this S tier. My actual brain, who's doing the thinking right now, is probably not an S tier.
I think it's gonna be below Xenoblade, personally.
No, it's above Xenoblade.
But you have to consider accessibility. I don't think it's very
accessible for modern people.
Oh yeah, I guess accessibility. So it's really not accessible. You'd have to have the PS3.
You play it on the Vita, technically,
and the Vita.
Mm-hmm. PS3 Vita.
There's that and emulation,
but also the second disc. I don't think modern players would enjoy that.
I don't know. They might, just because so many. It's like a dungeon crawler. The second disc basically turns into a dungeon crawler.
Yeah,
and there are people that like those.
Yeah,
there are people, but I don't think.
I would say I hear what you're saying. I just don't think that I don't think that it drops it significantly.
Yeah, I think the story goes by the time you get to the second disc, the story is you're so heavily invested into the story that you'll just keep going because you want to see where.
I would say that it's a detriment to the overall game.
Yeah,
the fact that the second disc isn't finished, but I don't think it's a detriment to the accessibility of the game. Because like you say, at that point, if you've played 35 hours of the game to that point, you're probably down for another 10 to push through the end.
And I think the battle system is fun and engaging from the combo system, and then you can learn more combos as you use them. And so I think that is a fun aspect. It's not perfect.
But I will say it is not explained well how you learn new combos.
Nope, it does not explain that at all.
There is a hidden counter that counts up how many times you do certain combinations. And when you get to a certain number, all of a sudden, voila, you have a new combo, but you are never told what that number is, how close you are. So, honestly, accessibility, I don't know. I'd probably put it at a low C.
But you need to play it with a guide, you think? As a new player?
No.
It's pretty straightforward.
So. It's very linear. There's not a whole lot of secret stuff to find or miss.
Some of the platforming bits I thought were a little frustrating in the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
the platforming bits are frustrating. I don't think a guide's going to help you with that, though. It's just
no, I'm just listing off things.
Oh,
no, yeah. It is a product of its time. I mean, it's product of its time. It's got those platforming bits are.
I hate to say this. Rough. There's a reason why I haven't finished it yet. I put it on hold.
So I think I wouldn't get it's definitely not an S or an A in terms of beginner.
I think it's a C.
Honestly,
I think it's a C from accessibility for a beginner. I would never give Jen Xenogears. From that perspective, I could even put it in D. But I don't think it's less accessible than Disgaea.
No.
So I would probably put it in C personally.
Yeah. Where in the C world?
I have some I have some flexibility on where I would be comfortable with it going in C. What do you guys think?
I would say behind Xenoblade.
Yeah, I think Xenoblade should be before it.
Because I think Xenoblade is more accessible in general, getting access to that. But I think Xenogears is an easier pull in than Bravely Default. I think people would get more interested in Xenogears more than Bravely Default.
For someone who wants to get into an older game, see some of the roots.
Because it's not necessarily a hard game.
That would have that appeal.
It's not hard. Right. You don't have to be you don't have to do anything perfectly. You could kind of brute strength your way through the game in general. It's very linear. It's perfectly fine. It's just not as accessible.
Yeah.
All right. Wild Arms.
Zero experience, my friends.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
Wild Arms 1 is an easy, simple JRPG. You can play it on the PS5, and so you have like 1 at least, and I think 2 is on PS4 too. I think it's on the classics, right? Wild Arms 2?
I'm not sure, but I think both of them are on the PlayStation Mini.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Oh yeah, that's true. PS Classics. I think they're both on the PS Classics. Yeah, they are. This one. Yes, it is as a PS1 classic.
So they're reasonably accessible for being pretty old.
Yeah, so you have at least like Wild Arms 1 and 2, and they are reasonably like, I think they're very like easy to get people into because the battle system, first off, is super simple. It's just a straightforward JRPG. It does have like puzzle dungeons, so it has kind of that aspect of like, Zelda-esque things. Like in the first game, you have like each person has their own little like type of like the main character has like a mouse thing that he can like launch out his little pet mouse.
Like individual skills that they can use go through dungeons.
Exactly, so they can solve puzzles and things like that. And so it does have that aspect to it, which I think is like to its benefit.
I think that Western kind of,
Western
aesthetic is fun.
The intro music to Wild Arms 1 is probably one of the best intros to ever grace us. One of the best. But I mean, it is a product of the time. So like graphically, it's not perfect anymore. It's not great. Yeah. Like it's not particularly like beautiful looking. It's still great. It's got the PS1 aesthetic, like the early PS1 aesthetic. So if you're into that, you'll like it. But I think from like a beginner getting into a JRPG, it's a pretty simple one to get into with a pretty fun and easy to get into story. Yeah, I think it's not bad. I wouldn't say it's like S tier, but I would say like it's maybe higher than Suikoden in terms of like straightforwardness. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll defer to you on that.
All right,
it's a compelling case. So
let's do it.
Yeah, put it above Suikoden.
We got so many to get through.
I think I'm gonna get attacked for that. All the Suikoden like fans out there.
They're mad at you.
Right.
Real quick, why don't we just to pare this down so that we can focus on the ones that we want to get to?
I think we should focus. Yeah.
Let's put the ones that we have not played right now and didn't play. Blue Dragon, never touched it.
Nope.
Yeah, I played it, but I don't need to talk about it.
Don't remember much. If you don't remember much, I think it's okay to say didn't play. Did you guys play Etrian Odyssey?
I've never played them.
Never played them. Okay.
Have them.
Dot Hack never played.
No. I have played Dot Hack, the original ones, but I've never beat in the series. But like
the original ones are not accessible.
They're not
accessible. Yeah, maybe we'll leave those off then.
Let's not bother.
We don't have too much time, so let's. What is this one again?
Radiant
Historia. Yeah,
Radiant We'll leave that on there, even though it's just one game. Not really
we can talk about that one.
Drakengard, I've never played.
Me either.
Skies of Arcadia, I haven't. I think you have, Dalla, right?
I have played that.
So we can leave that on there if you have.
Yeah, we can leave that on there.
Enough to say about it.
In that.
Yeah. Persona, Super Mario RPG, Phantasy Star. Have you guys played those? The original ones? Yes. Okay. Yes. Kingdom Hearts, Mother, Vagrant Story. It's an interesting one.
Mario and Luigi.
Maybe Monster Hunter we could maybe skip over.
Let's just Monster Hunter. It's not really JRPG anyway.
Let's just put that like here.
Yeah.
With Dark Soul.
That's fine. Dark Souls. How about Shining Resonance?
Shining Resonance I played 5 minutes of. It seems interesting.
Oh, we both played that for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you were there. I would say like
don't play for the most part.
I've never played Super Robot Wars.
Super Robot.
I haven't either.
I haven't played
The Last Story.
I've not played
Seventh
Last Story.
Saga. I have not played. I did play The Last Story, but I don't remember enough about it.
Is the one next to Star Ocean?
I don't remember a lot from Seventh Saga. I need to replay that.
That is Sakura Wars, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sakura Wars. I've not played.
Not played. The rest of them, I think I'm good.
Yeah, we could talk about the rest of these, I think.
So Octopath Traveler is next.
Yeah, let's go. Let's pick up this pace maybe a little bit more because there's a lot left.
Less detail.
Okay, Octopath Traveler.
Lightning round.
Lightning round. Let's go through them. Octopath Traveler. What do you think?
Well, there's some that I want to talk about in more detail that I think we're all going to want to talk about.
I was joking. Yeah, don't worry.
So no, but I agree that we should. For the ones that we don't have as much to say about, we don't have to fill the space. We can just let it go. So Octopath Traveler. What do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about that one? I feel like it's pretty grindy.
It is very grindy.
It's beautiful.
It is very beautiful.
Accessible.
It is very accessible. The stories can be interesting for people if you like that kind of style.
I don't know if it's a great entry point to what JRPGs are, because I don't think the overarching story is interesting enough.
The lack of an overarching story is maybe a detriment for getting people interested in the genre.
The gameplay, straightforward, but some of it, there is some difficulty spikes, right? Without grinding.
Yeah, I would put it
also.
I would put it in front of Bravely Default. Like I think it's better than Bravely Default.
It's a little simpler than Bravely Default, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit more accessible in that sense.
Put it right there.
I also didn't like the second one, so I just want to throw that out there to ignite people's anger. I got so bored and I put it away.
I enjoyed the second one more than I enjoyed the first one.
I thought so. Here's the thing. I think the second one is objectively better than the first one in every way.
Oh yeah.
I played the first one to completion. I got bored 15 hours into the second one. I don't know. I can't explain
it's just more of the same thing. And if you weren't
too much of the same is what I felt. It's too much of the same.
Exactly. So I can see that. All right. Fire Emblem. I think from a tactical perspective, I think it's pretty accessible.
I think it's a good way to introduce people to the genre.
It literally uses like the simplest method that we've come up with for like fighting, which is rock, paper, scissors, as its like core combat mechanic. So I think that is a big plus in its favor for being accessible.
And there are like many games that you can have access to right now to play.
Yes, very accessible, I think, on that front. And also, like, starting with Awakening, they made casual mode to make it even more beginner-friendly.
Exactly.
If you don't want your players to die.
Yeah.
So
I honestly would put it in an A.
Yeah, I was thinking high A, personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you could have, the Three Houses route if you want something a bit more kind of social elements. Or if you want something a bit more traditional and straightforward, you could do the GBA games that are... on NSO, or the first one is at least.
Is it like, more accessible than Mana?
I think so.
No, I don't know if I would say it's more, but I wouldn't argue.
There's more popularity around the series, so it's easier to get part of the fandom.
You're much more likely to get consistent new Fire Emblem games, I think, than you are.
Oh, yeah.
Mana, unfortunately. So. Like Mana, I hope Mana makes a comeback, but
yeah, I hope so.
But I think that works for me.
I think there's a lot of passion, when you play those games for Fire Emblem, you get really invested in the franchise and then branch out to some other series too.
Yep, exactly.
And also people get really, really thirsty about the Fire Emblem characters. So there's that too.
It's more recent, but I suppose so.
Emily would know.
I would know. Show some I thirsty for, please.
You're our.
It depends on what figures you have. I don't know.
You're our resident Fire Emblem /
I have a lot of figures. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily thirsty for them.
/ like the weird parts of Twitter fandom sections.
I suppose.
you teach us about those things. Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding.
Because it's interesting.
It just goes with our intro.
I'm assuming that's what we are intro. We'll see.
I'm gonna have to now.
No, I just forced it.
Forced my hand.
I forced Branden to do it, so he's gonna have to do it.
So get mad at him, Emily. He's the one making me do this.
I did this.
I'll get you back next time.
I don't doubt it.
I know.
All right, what's that? Is that Dark Cloud?
That's
I can't
Dark
read that
Cloud.
second
Yes.
word. Okay. I will take a backseat on this one. I don't really know.
I played them as a kid and I loved them, though it wasn't necessarily the easiest game to play. And I think if you came from the 3D Zelda titles, it's very similar in some respects. Some of the town management systems, I found them fun, but I did a lot of management Sims kind of things as a kid.
Yeah.
And they're very accessible now because they're on, the PSN, I think.
Is 2 on there?
Them. Yeah, both of them are.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
And they had, it's a, I think, enhanced port.
Yeah, they have the enhanced ports on there. And, I think, they're fun and,
they're fun.
Interesting in terms of, the second one, you can build, little robots and, customize your own little things that you can create. And,
They approach time travel, which I think is always a fun element in stories.
Yeah.
I would give them a high B, personally.
I would probably put them above Wild Arms.
Yeah, I think
still
they should be above Wild Arms.
like in terms of approachability.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to let you put it there.
Oh, okay.
There.
Well,
Like,
oh,
I
there
think
it
as
is.
far as
Okay.
the
It was
PS2
fighting
era
me.
goes,
It
has the action combat that I think
yeah.
is a bit more intuitive.
it knew my love for Wild Arms, and it was like not
It's like,
It
no,
didn't want to.
no.
did not want to allow me to do that.
Don't do this, Dalla.
Jesus.
Why would you do? You betrayed us. You betrayed us for the last time.
Radiant Historia.
Radiant Historia.
It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time
Most-
separating my love for this game. I'm trying to think about it
Easy, though.
objectively.
Hey, we did it with Xenogears, so we can do it with this.
True. I honestly think the combat system. So here's the thing. Radiant Historia literally has a mode where you can push a button and kill an enemy. You don't have to fight. You can like completely skip the combat in Radiant Historia.
I never did that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I recognized it as a really cool feature for people that just want to experience the story. Yeah. So this is one I feel like I could even give to Jen, who hates fighting, and just be like, just push the B button and swing your sword, and the enemy's dead, and just continue.
Though pro, I think for the fighting, it's a really cool system.
It is a really cool
system.
system.
They do teach you how to do it.
Yeah, it looks complicated, but if you take a few minutes with it, it's actually not all that complicated, and it is really cool and unique. I would give it an A.
I think it's an A.
I would,
and the route, like, even though there's like a time travel element to it, it's not, I think, difficult to figure out what's going on or how to proceed.
It's told really well.
I would say
told really well.
If the 3DS wasn't so hard to get your hands on.
Oh,
sure.
That's true. We have to take that
But the
into
thing is, the DS version is very accessible still because it's cheap.
Yeah, but then you have to buy a DS if you don't have one. And
DSs are cheap.
They are cheap,
but we're not. But you got to keep in mind, we're talking accessible.
Like
right?
I'm trying to sell somebody on playing a series.
Go to a pawn shop, I'm sure you could find one.
If I were to go to
a pawn shop, is the definition of not accessible. Like, I don't know what the pawn shops are like by you, but you do not want to go into a pawn shop by where we live.
I could just picture this. So, like, if I were to go up to somebody I knew, like a friend, and I was going to say, "Hey, like, I want to get you into JRPGs," and they're like, "Sure," and I'm like, "But you're going to have to go to a pawn shop. You're going to have to buy a DS. Then you're going to have to go online and try to find
on eBay and buy this game." Yeah, that kills it. I'm sorry. I agree with Dalla. That kills it.
We can move it to B then.
I would
give it a low B just because of the accessibility, or the ability to play it.
Yeah,
and I also don't think that the original game has that accessibility mode where you can just skip the battles. That's another thing to consider. But
it doesn't have the extra content either.
It doesn't have the extra content.
Yeah. Exactly.
But still, it's a very, very good game.
It's a great
if you
game.
have the ability to get your hands on it, whether you're a beginner or not, just freaking play it, please. So good.
All right. Golden Sun. This is...
Those are on NSO.
Did not play.
They are like the perfect kid JRPGs. Like growing up and playing those games, like they're simple, they're fun. The story is interesting and becomes even more compelling as you get into the second game, and you see different perspectives. I think since it's very accessible on the Switch, I would definitely lean higher with this one.
I'm thinking A-.
Yeah, I would say like the low on the A side.
Yeah, Camelot RPGs seem to be pretty beginner friendly. You know what's interesting? I just realized they had Shining Resonance Refrain on this list that we put under didn't play, but they didn't put any of the other Shining games. Like Shining Force, I would say is a very, relatively accessible, easy to get into JRPG series. Tactical from a tactical perspective.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, easy in that you understand what's going on. I don't know, easy to become a JRPG fan, because it doesn't have necessarily the flavor I think Fire Emblem has.
It's maybe not as different as different as you think. There's definitely some of it. Fire Emblem is more. I would agree that Fire Emblem is more so, but I would think that it's actually some more close than you might think.
Yeah,
but it's
not
would
accessible.
I would probably put it at a B.
The first
you can get it on
the
packs,
Genesis collection.
The Genesis collection
packs and online.
Sega does
and Steam and stuff. You can get them on there, but I would probably put it at a B. But we don't have it on the list anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, and we have all these others to get through.
We got all these other ones here. So Final Fantasy.
Honestly,
didn't play. I don't know.
I don't know. I say I'm gonna put this in D. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think honestly, Final Fantasy, like there's something for everybody in the Final Fantasy series. Even if you don't like every game, I think it's the perfect
spin-offs.
It's pretty simple. There's a lot of spin-offs. Honestly, I would put it
MMO.
up there in S tier with Dragon Quest in terms of just the ability to, if you like MMOs, if you like action RPGs, if you want Final Fantasy 16.
They don't have quite as many avenues, I think.
Not as many as Dragon Quest. And that's the other thing to keep in mind too, is like we're approaching it as if somebody likes an MMO, maybe they'll play Final Fantasy 14. Does that make them more likely to play a JRPG in the Final Fantasy series,
Final Fantasy games,
or a different JRPG, or is it just an MMO and it's kind of its own thing, right? I don't know.
It depends. If they like the story, if they like the kind of like
the
vibes of a Final Fantasy game, because they all kind of
want to try the numbered games.
Yeah, they'll want to try let me try another story. Like if they hear Final Fantasy 10 is or Final Fantasy 7 is, I hear that's great. Let me play that. And
and 14 does a good job too of like incorporating other Final Fantasies into their story or whatever. That's
other Square Enix things, right? Like they have
Nier, they did Nier stuff, they did some other stuff as well. I think
so. I think that they do a lot to promote within the world of Final Fantasy. There's a lot of different options. Like if you're more into action, you can play Final Fantasy 16 and you'll have like a more action based like combat, and the same thing with 15 as well.
They had the fighting games too.
They have the fighting games.
Cydia.
Yeah.
Or Tactics.
They have Tactics. I feel like there's a lot of avenues to play different types of games, and there's different types.
You've convinced me. We can put that sucker in S. I would put it below Dragon Quest.
Below Dragon Quest, I think,
yeah. Okay, thank you. I just wanted
also
to
the new Final Fantasy 7 remakes. I think a lot of action players have been playing that and trying out other JRPGs because of the story.
Exactly.
I loved them so much.
It's a gateway to everything there. So I think it's a perfect place to start.
It's a gateway to my heart.
Yes, it is. I saw it.
It's just
open wide.
It went pitter patter. Anyways, it did. Skies of Arcadia. So this is not accessible. Not acceptable. No, it's
not acceptable.
It's not acceptable. No, it's not accessible.
They could bring it back, but they haven't.
Yeah, they could. It's a possibility. You never know.
They've released those figures.
Exactly. There's been a lot of adjacent stuff coming around. I mean, same with Xenogears, but you don't see them bringing that back either. But Skies of Arcadia, I think it's aesthetically pleasing. Like, who doesn't like Sky Pirates? I think that's like anybody who likes anything would like Sky Pirates. It's a cool concept.
Yeah. Universally beloved.
Exactly.
I think so.
Battle system is pretty straightforward. It's not anything difficult. It's not convoluted. It's just very straightforward JRPG battle system. Story is fun.
I think we probably shouldn't spend too much time on this one because, like you said, it's so inaccessible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see in terms of it being a good game that's not too hard to play if you have it, but you're not likely to come across it.
No.
Maybe it'll get remastered and then it's not cheap for sure. Maybe they'll remaster it and we will have a different song to sing about it in a year or two. But I think for now,
if it was remastered, I'd say Up Here Next to Golden Sun or something like that.
Sure.
But as of right now, I would probably put it down
down there,
right here,
lowish C.
Yeah, it's still above Parasite Eve, but I'd still say we still have more options for Breath of Fire. Out there.
Persona.
Man.
So Emily, I know you haven't really played much in the Persona realm, right?
Nope.
You've done more SMT. I would say that
that's adjacent.
Yeah. I would say that Persona is quite a bit more accessible than SMT.
Yeah.
It is.
It's flashy.
I wouldn't say it's very accessible though.
I would probably honestly put it at a B somewhere just because it's not the easiest.
I think B plus because I think that's been the gateway for a lot of people, especially Persona 5.
That's true, right? I bet you there's people that play JRPGs now that started with Persona 5. So
also with the animes and stuff that they've been doing and manga, we got a lot from that community who then are let's try some games now.
Yeah.
The figures.
The only thing I would say that if you're not big on JRPGs and
they're long.
They're very long, and then they're also I think a lot of people might get like anxiety from the calendar system.
Yeah, the calendar system's not fun.
That
doesn't super respect your time. I've ranted about it before. I'm not going to rant about it now.
Exactly. So like I feel like that's not beginner friendly. Like you kind of have to use a guide if you want to like play the game in a more meaningful way where you don't have to replay it multiple times to see things. So
Super Mario RPG. So this is just remade.
Yep.
Honestly, we can talk about both, but the remake is obviously it's, you can buy it brand new at Walmart.
I think it's an S tier
right now. I honestly think so.
Yeah.
It's
There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect, like little bite-sized game.
Like Jen didn't connect with it. That was one that I had her try, but
she wasn't into Mario, was she?
She wasn't it wasn't a big thing for her. And I think some of it was like frustration at the timed button presses. If you don't have a problem with that, you'll be fine. I agree. I think it's an S for getting somebody into the genre.
I think if you're a Mario fan, definitely S tier. If you're not into Mario, maybe a little bit lower.
Maybe lower. But low S for now.
Now, let's just assume people are into Mario.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I think it's just a very easy, simple JRPG to get into. That's very short and fun.
Yeah,
if you're into that.
Phantasy Star is about as accessible as
Shining Force.
I would probably put it at the lowest of the low C's.
Yeah,
because it's
cool.
Unabashedly old school, very, very old school, very hard. Yes.
It is an amazing series. I love,
but also very cool.
Like
very cool.
I have to separate the love from the beginner stuff for this one, especially because I think those games are incredible. But
they were just absolutely revolutionary with the way they told stories.
Oh yeah,
they did the comic book style cutscenes. Like it was the first video game I remember having. Like maybe not. That's not true. Ninja Gaiden, but one of the first video games I remember having cutscenes.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, like incredible games. But I don't know how like someone new. I almost want to say it's like maybe it
might be in D tier for me.
Honestly, I think it's still better than Skies of Arcadia.
It's easier to get to than Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah.
It's simple enough that you know.
It's not a hard game. You do have to like a little bit of grindy.
Hard. Yeah.
But like the game mechanics aren't hard. It's pretty simple.
Right. No, it's not a complicated game.
It's just either.
It's not the prettiest, but it is more.
4 is good. 4 is actually pretty good, but the 2 and 3 are. Anyway, we don't want to spend too much time on that. Kingdom Hearts.
This was technically my first JRPG outside of Pokemon.
Did you end up getting into JRPGs?
I did. I played Dark Cloud after that.
You like JRPGs?
I wasn't sure if she got into them.
I was waiting for her to say no.
No,
and I'd be like, "What are we doing here?"
I don't know. I'm on this podcast.
Yeah. I'm like, "What is this? Where am I?"
I think Kingdom Hearts is.
I think it's a good gateway.
The first 2 games, I think, are good gateways. The rest of them, less so.
I feel like so a little controversial. I think at the time they were great gateways.
Oh yeah.
But in this day and age, when everyone kind of knows Kingdom Hearts to be very convoluted, it is very. I think a lot of people get very anxious when they see like, all right, like how do I have to like figure out like I have to play all these other games that exist too. But
also, they don't necessarily think that playing the other ones are necessary, and they get confused and upset.
Exactly.
Like, why does this not make sense?
So there is like in this day and age, I think it's a different perception of like when I was a kid. When you played Kingdom Hearts, you're like, oh, okay, it's just Kingdom Hearts, and you played it, and you're like, I love this. I'm going to play some more things.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as accessibility goes, like you can pick up the story so far or the complete collection that
accessibility is great.
So accessibility is good. A lot of the games are just movies on here. Not a lot, but like a third of them are just movies.
Yeah.
So you're watching them.
That's a hard sell.
I think I would put it.
I don't know if that's a hard sell.
I would put it at an A. And the reason is because they are still really good, fun games that aren't overly complicated. They have the Disney aspect that's going to bring people in. and then they get infected with the Tetsuya Nomura weirdness over time.
The action combat is very easy to pick up too.
Yeah, that's I think a big selling
action
point
combat
as well.
Disney.
And they were for kids initially, so that wasn't that difficult to beat.
Yeah, I agree. I think a low A, like
low A,
high B would be
works for me. Yeah,
I think that's right.
And some of the spin-off games, or they're not really spin-offs, but people would think of them as spin-offs. I think by themselves are fun. Like I like the Dream Drop Distance one and Chain of Memories.
Yeah, exactly.
Birth by Sleep. But
Mother. Earthbound. So basically just Earthbound for here. Because like...
You can play the first one on NSO.
Oh, yeah, you can play the first one on NSO. So there's that.
Yeah.
I think they're good. I mean, they're great, but they are a product of their time. So you have like the inventory system that's a bit, old school, which can be a little bit annoying for people.
Honestly, I would put it at a C, like right in the middle above SMT, because it is grindy, but it's not as hard as that. And it's not as accessible as an action RPG would be. So I think Alundra being above it makes sense. Bravely Default is a bit, and Octopath are a bit, smoother, more modern. So I don't know. It feels right to me there.
There's the appeal of Earthbound though. Like
there
people
is
thinking of it as, an
Yeah,
interesting franchise.
And I think that keeps it out of D. That's where I'm at. Is I feel like that keeps it out of D.
Because well, Earthbound's like really like there's a very like hit or miss across like the fan like across JRPG lovers. Like there's people who really love Earthbound. There's people like who don't. Like there's no like it's very you either like it or you don't. It's a very divisive type of game. Just because of like the structure of it and it being a little bit old school. Like you have like that first person. Yeah. So Vagrant Story
D. is a D. It's below Saga. Don't even like it's cool, but don't give it to your
I love the game, but I would not wish that upon like somebody who's trying to get to JRPGs. It's very hard.
I've been playing these games for 35 years. I can't figure it out. I'm sorry. I know that makes me dummy, but I can't figure it out.
And it's not super accessible either.
So. Right.
No, there's like I think it's on the PS3 digitally, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Lufia.
Lufia
is
it on?
Are those on NSO?
I don't know if they're on NSO.
NSO, no.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
So they're not.
Lufia is basically not accessible outside of emulation. I would put it. I'd put Lufia above Breath of Fire. Just because, especially Lufia 2, I feel really.
It's so good.
Does a lot of legwork in making that series noteworthy. The puzzles in Lufia 2 are very
interesting.
Lufia 2 is one of like the games I remember as a kid that like really like stuck with me as like, It
did. The combat's cool. You've got a monster training aspect to it.
Exactly. I love the dungeons.
The dungeon puzzles. It's like the first game that made me feel like deep existential sorrow and dread because
it's very
like
sad.
It's a prequel, so what's going to happen, and you're like begging the gods of video games as you're playing to please don't let this happen because you fall in love with all these characters, and it's great. I think it's great, but it's not accessible.
It's not accessible. So. It is a wonderful game. If it was accessible, I would say like it's right up.
B?
I would.
I'd probably put it in a B for if it was accessible.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not there. All right, so moving on, Mario and Luigi. I
have just the tiniest bit of experience with this.
You haven't really played them.
I've played the GBA one,
Superstar Saga,
and then part of one of the DS ones. They are very fun games. They're basically Super Mario RPG style games. Very easy to get into. Kind of the same vein as Super Mario RPG. It's like
the same. A lot of the same team that worked on Mario RPG went on to do the Mario Luigi games.
It's the same concept. It's like a very like you can get into it. It's if you like Mario and Luigi, this is a very easy sell of like, hey, play this like JRPG style game. Like
just a lot of them are stuck on old hardware.
A lot of them.
How can you play
Superstar Saga? Right, is on the NSO.
Yeah, and there's some that didn't. Some get ported to Switch or remastered or whatever. Bowser's Inside Story, was that a Switch?
That was not.
I think that's a 3DS, right?
Switch.
Did that get 3DS
Only
remaster?
3DS.
That was just 3DS. Okay.
I would put this in like.
They have the new Brothership game, which I've heard like warm things about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, that also feels like it's a divisive game. I think some people who really enjoy it, and there's people who like don't care about Mario. Maybe, I don't know. But
I'm not sure. I heard it just got boring.
So maybe we put it like somewhere like under Paper Mario.
I was thinking D because it's not super accessible. But or
there's
lower
just the
C.
one entry that's. I mean, the one entry that is accessible is, well, I guess, yeah, Brothership.
Like Superstar Saga is supposed to be pretty good, and
I'm guessing, yeah,
because like Brotherhood is not that bad. I would say to put it in D. Like, it's not a bad game. I think some people don't like it.
I know. It's just we're looking at 2 out of how many are in the series? 6.
6.
You could play.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would, let's compromise with a C because
C is fine.
Like a higher C is fine. Yeah.
Like
that's good. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Above Alundra.
Or is it above Octopath?
In terms of accessibility, maybe.
Yeah.
But does that make you want to play more JRPGs? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's an easy one to get into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Super Mario RPG is probably the one.
That's definitely the one to go to.
Yeah, no, I would definitely choose that. Rune Factory.
All right, so Rune Factory, I don't know anything about these. I played a little bit of one to get some footage, and that was it.
I
guess I can.
Yeah, I'll let you
talk about them. So I think these are a great way to get people who are into farming, games like Stardew Valley and those type of games to try out a more traditional action RPG system where it still has the whole like calendar kind of seasonality of when you get to plant crops and have different events and kind of things to do. Okay. And they're usually pretty straightforward and easy. Like it's a very straightforward action combat. You just kind of hack and slash it.
Okay.
And most of the games are getting more accessible now because of the remakes. Like they put 4 on the Switch. You have 5 on the Switch as well as PC.
The new one coming out.
3's on there too.
Was also put onto the Switch. There's a new one coming out on the Switch and Switch 2. It's just really the first and second one are a little bit harder to get a hold of.
And there's some spin-offs as well, but
really, I think the games improve over time, so you would want to focus on the more recent ones.
Okay.
So overall, I would say they're like B.
Like low B or
about a B.
We could do low B because, again, not everyone likes the farming mechanics or the relationship building and stuff like that. So it appeals to a certain, I think, gamer.
Yeah, it's going to speak to a certain person, but.
So I think that's appropriate.
All right. Button Kaitos. I can't say words.
I have no experience.
Successful. That's all I can say. I have it.
I played the first one on the GameCube. I never played the second one.
The card mechanics, it's very different for a JRPG.
Yeah, it's like JRPG adjacent. I wouldn't say it's truly a JRPG. I guess it's like turn-based.
It's JRPG. It's just a different
mechanic.
The combat system, is just using
and it's
cards.
Beautiful with the watercolor kind of aesthetic.
Beautiful. Honestly, like it's a great.
I don't know if people would get into JRPGs because of it, though.
Yeah, I would say I would put it maybe in between Bravely Default and Octopath.
Oh, interesting.
I think it would be more interesting, aesthetically, than Bravely Default. But Octopath, I think, is still a bit better.
Octopath does have the cool art
HD
aesthetic
TV.
to it.
It's beautiful. It's got great music and atmosphere. I think more so. So I think maybe around here. What do you guys think?
Okay, we'll defer to you. I haven't played it, so.
Yeah. Grandia.
We got the first 2 HD remasters.
Yeah, so let's base it off those 2, I think, because the rest are stuck on the. I think Grandia 3 was on PS3 digitally, right?
If Gung Ho wanted to do a Grandia collection too, they've got 2 more games.
Yeah,
they're not the most beloved, but
still
they could do it.
But like Grandia, so maybe.
It was PS3. It is on the PS3. That's
right.
one of the PS2 classics. So there is that aspect if you want to play Grandia 3. But that's still not very accessible. But
we'll just say the first two being the most accessible if we want to just rate those.
Yeah, so we'll just say those first two. But
and the first two games are pretty different.
They are very different, but they're also like, I don't know, like they're pure. The first game is pure adventure. Like it is like a fun romp for anyone who wants to get into like a JRPG. It's not always easy.
Yeah. The combat systems in 1 and 2 are basically the same though, right?
Yes.
They use that kind of run around and you have your action and cancel.
You're trying to cancel.
I would say that is a great battle system, but it bumps it lower because it's more complicated.
But you can kind of like force your way through it.
You can accidentally cancel an enemy without meaning to, and you won't always get canceled by, an enemy's attack just coincidentally. But yeah, I don't know.
But overall, it's not super straightforward.
It's not as straightforward as some of the other ones on the list. So I would probably put it below Bravely.
I would say above Bravely.
You think so?
I would still think it's like, in terms of just...
Well, it's got to be more accessible than Baten Kaitos. That's another 100%. Good point.
I would say... But like, I'd say...
Fine, yeah.
But even
above
so, like...
Baten Kaitos, below Octopath.
That's fine.
That makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's do the next one.
Ni no Kuni.
Ni no Kuni. That's super accessible.
Very accessible.
Very accessible, very charming.
The, Ghibli art.
Yes, it's got the Ghibli look to it.
Jibbums.
The Jibbums.
Ghibli.
So, honestly, okay, so the first game, I think a lot of people love it. Second game is a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of...
I like the second game so much more. I don't know why people are weird about it.
It seems like there's like a very much like it's also one of those divisive games. Like it's like you either love it or you don't really care for it. So like it's there's no but I would say like it's still it's an easy series to kind of recommend to somebody who's getting into it.
I'd give it an A because it's got a lot going for it that makes it appealing, eye-catching
to
Joe Hisaishi music.
Yeah.
But
would you say the battle system gets a little bit complicated towards the end of the first game?
I don't remember.
There's a bit of a difficulty spike, I think.
I would say just play Ni no Kuni 2. Everybody out there, just play Ni no Kuni 2.
No, it's 1 is so good though.
I mean, 1 is good, but I just think 2 is so much better.
And it's also kind of got like monster
catching
it does,
mechanics. So it's got
2 is also an action RPG. That's another thing to point out. It's not a turn-based. It's just a straight up action RPG.
Yeah.
So. But if they played Pokemon before.
If you like Pokemon,
well, we'll get to Pokemon shortly.
You'll have that to hold on to as well.
Honestly, I think like A is fine. I think it's like
we could keep it there.
It's like a low A. I think it's
fine. Low
perfectly
A is good.
All right.
Nier.
I would say Nier is like. Are we talking? Okay. I would say that's up in. Honestly,
there's a lot of appeals to Nier.
A, like low A as well. Just because, like, I feel like it's a game.
Which Nier games?
Well, there's going to be like Automata, but then there's also like the remake of what's it called? Replicant. I think they're both like JRPG adjacent. They're a perfect kind of gateway drug into that JRPG style kind of game from an action perspective, and
they have a lot of weirdness to them that breaks up the gameplay and makes it interesting. Like Nier Automata straight up turns into a 2D shooter several times.
It does.
Yeah, I think it's like a great way to get somebody who's getting their
somebody
feet
is
wet.
already inclined to is already pretty good at video games, plays action games.
Yeah.
I think it's a great gateway to JRPGs.
But I'm not sure if they enjoy the aspect of replaying it, how the story is told.
Oh,
well, you don't really replay. Like you get the credits, but you're not really replaying it. It looks like you're going to have to replay the game, but when you start again, it's like you're in a new spot. The story is continuing. It's a weird. I don't know why they do that stuff.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing, but it's not like.
But the game is not long.
As long as you don't see the first credit and shut the system off and rage, like you'll be fine. I think it'll be okay.
Yeah,
like,
I think most people.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I feel like
I guess it has 2B for Automata, so that has its own appeal.
Exactly.
People like 2B.
People love 2B.
Show and
They
A2.
do.
So
Yes.
I get a real quick aside. I get 2B is named after 2B or not 2B, right?
Yeah.
That is the question. And I get A2 is named after A2 Brute.
Yeah.
A2 Brute. What is 9S?
9S.
Is 9S named after something? Is he the only one
It
that's
must
not?
be.
No, I've never been able to
Something to
figure
look
that
up.
out. Let me know in the comments if you know this, the answer to this question. Let me know in the comments because I just can't figure it out. I've been racking my brain. I've spent more time than I'm comfortable admitting thinking about this in the last couple of months. So please help me. Anyway, I would.
Yes.
I honestly, I think I would give it an A, just because.
Yeah.
A with the caveat that if you are already an action game player, then this is a good gateway.
Yeah.
If you are not an action game player, you're brand new to video games. Not going to be great. Not going to be great.
Okay.
It's kind of hard.
All right. Perfect.
Pokemons.
Pokemon, honestly, I think is an S tier. Like,
Yeah, it's everyone's. Well, I wouldn't say
this is
everyone.
literally
most people's
gateway.
first RPG.
As much as I don't have any interest in it, I do agree that
Yeah.
it is probably the gateway for a lot of people.
A lot of people, like, they grew up and that's what got them into, like,
multiple generations here.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's S tier for sure. Yeah.
It's definitely S tier. Xenosaga, I would
D.
put that
Not accessible.
Not accessible.
Not accessible, and don't give
second
people
game.
the idea that all JRPGs are incredibly, like, I love Xenosaga.
Yeah.
Please don't misconstrue this. Don't give people that are starting out with JRPGs the idea that they are all overly complicated, philosophical.
Unless they're really into philosophy.
If they're really into philosophy, then sure,
It's
maybe.
like it's a perfect game to recommend. Minus the second game is like really brutal.
Are you? Yeah. Is your loved one obsessed with Carl Jung? Here's the game for you. This will tick all their boxes, but otherwise, I would say D. Yeah, it's just not.
It's not beginner friendly. Tactics Ogre also.
The remake has made it a bit more accessible.
Yeah.
And there are some quality of life things there. It's not necessarily the easiest tactics game still.
It is still hard. I would think C, like, below. I would put
Lundra.
it above Xenogears just because it's more accessible, but below Xenosaga or Xenoblade.
Okay.
I would put it below SMT personally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's compromise. Let's put it above Bravely. That feels like a good compromise, right? Right in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Tales
of. I'm just kidding. No.
I mean, it's not bad.
Honestly, I think it might.
It's an
Arise,
action.
I think was a good, probably gateway for a lot of people.
Symphonia did I think Symphonia did a lot in the early days, the GameCube days.
The battle system is fun. It's quick. It's like combo based, so like people can get into it if you're like action combat.
Yeah. If they don't like anime though, anime tropes.
Don't like anime.
That is like the biggest aspect to, like, if your friend hates anime.
When we're about to get into that even more here right after this selection. But, if you don't like anime, maybe not. But let's say like they don't mind anime. Anime is not a detriment. Anime is a neutral. It's a neutral.
I think it's like either an S or an A in terms of just
I would honestly put it below Kingdom Hearts is where I'd put it.
Yes.
Because it doesn't have the benefit of the Disney hook, but it is fun and pretty easy, and there's a lot of them that you can play on modern platforms.
A lot of them are becoming remastered, so it's accessible.
All right. So we're going into the next S tier, and that is Legend of Heroes. Trails.
Yeah. So I don't want to just throw this in S without talking about it.
It's not.
It's not S. It's not S tier.
I would say let me make an argument for why it could be, and then we can talk about it. So there's a wide variety of different types of gameplay within Trails. Like, you do have the basic combat system that starts with Sky and evolves over the course of the series. Mm-hmm. But with Daybreak, you get action combat. You have Nayuta in there as a straight up action RPG. It's hard to say exactly how it's connected, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking just games in the series. The wide variety of entry points. The story is very compelling and
you can play them all on PC.
You can get them all on PC and have them all on a single platform. So they are among the most accessible, really, of all the games on this list. That's an argument from me for why I could see it in a low S. Now, having said that, I'm not digging my heels in on that. We could talk about an A.
Yeah, I would say it's more of an A just because of the
sheer amount of games.
Exactly. I think for like
to play.
for a beginner, when you tell them, try to explain to them that, hey, like, I know it starts in Trails of the Sky, but just start in Daybreak because you get your feet wet and then go backwards. I mean, when we get Trails of the Sky remake, it's going to be a lot easier to have that discussion. But at the same time, like, if they know that, like, hey, I have to start with Trails of the Sky and then I'm going to play another 13, 14 games to get through the story.
Or I want to play Cold Steel. Like, why can't I just jump there?
Yeah. So, like, I think it's a hard...
Like, there's a lot of...
I feel like there's a lot more negotiations involved when you talk to people about the Trails series of, like, I know you think that, and like
getting this started.
And I've been through that. Like, my brother-in-law, I've been trying to get him to play a Trails game, and he's like, just like it's definitely a negotiate because, like, he plays, like, he's very, he won't play all, like, he likes JRPGs ish kind of, but like not too much. So he's like the prime person for me to kind of like test this out on. And I tried Trails, and it's very hard sell sometimes from that perspective.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, from the perspective of a brand newcomer to the genre,
I would give it like...
Stories are good, though.
I would give
it's not that difficult. You don't have to do, like...
You can put it on very easy.
If you can't beat a boss, they'll lower the difficulty for you without making you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it like behind Nier.
The low A right now. That's...
Yeah, I would put it above Nier. But
well, I feel like it's easier to sell Nier to somebody.
You can sell Nier, that's true.
Like, I could convince someone to play Nier faster than Trails.
After playing Nier, though, would you be convinced to play more JRPGs?
Maybe.
I guess you could do the same argument. If you get really deep into Trails, it's hard to, get into stories of other JRPGs.
Yeah, it could possibly ruin everything else for you. Like, but that could also be like that's also like Xenoblade and Xenogears and
that's true.
And Xeno like Saga, like those games.
Do you want to start somebody with Peak because it's all downhill?
Like you want to ease them into like the real good stuff.
So I would say maybe B for Trails, if I'm being honest.
Like above.
If you put it above Persona, I won't pitch a fit. That's high B.
I think it's an easier in terms of like complexity. Like, it's an easy game to play. Like, you put on easy and just zoom through it. But you also have to deal with the fact that, like, a lot of the first games are not easy to get into. The first game of the arc is usually very slow build up. So, like, if you're not...
That would be corrected, but yes.
Hopefully it gets corrected, but, like, it is a slow build. So for those who are not, like, used to that in their JRPGs and then having, like, cliffhangers at the end of a game, that could also be, like, a...
Yeah, they might stop before it gets good,
Exactly. Okay. What is this one again?
The World Ends With You.
World Ends With You. Okay. This one...
It's pretty cool.
It's reasonably accessible, but it's not the version of the original that's accessible is not good. It's not.
I've heard some people claim it's better. I don't believe them.
I don't believe them.
I don't. The DS one is more optimal. Like,
yes, that's how it was designed.
Yeah, but it's also like.
But you do have the Neo World's Ones End With You.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to play the first game to play.
I haven't played that one yet.
I can't speak to that, but
I haven't finished it, so I can't say either. But
what do you guys think about this one? I would put it like
I don't. Who's going to get into JRPGs from playing The World Ends With You? Who's going to play that and be like, I want more of this? What do you offer them? That's more
games like this, but there's no other games.
There's no other games like this.
Sorry, like you've played the game that's like this. So.
Do you put it like above Parasite Eve?
Because
I think above Parasite Eve.
It's a great game, and I'm not saying it's trash. It's a great game. I love it, but I don't think it's like
a gateway.
It feels more advanced. It feels like an advanced game.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit. unless you're into rhythm games,
that's an honors
know.
course for JRPG learning. It's an
exactly.
Honors course. It's not a 101. So
all right, guys, let's just put this in S and move on.
Chrono Trigger. I mean, I do think it is
for like getting into JRPGs. I think that is a gateway drug.
I think it's NES. That was the first game or JRPG I saw someone playing, and I was interested in it.
Right.
It's got Akira Toriyama art, which gets all the Dragon Ball Z stands out there like roaring to go. You've got a battle system that is more or less fun. And it's not a very long game. Pretty. It's not a long game. You can beat that game pretty quickly.
Yeah, the only reason I'm hesitating at all is because it did not hook Jen, as much as it breaks my heart to say that.
I'm not surprised by that, though.
Yeah.
I don't think she'd be into that as much.
Yeah. It might be one that I would try reintroducing to her, because this was years ago that I gave her the DS version to try on her DS version? Yeah.
Yeah. Or she might just not
I'm fine
enjoy.
with S. It's an S. I mean, it is. It just is. Like, it's great.
Yes. Star Ocean. I feel like Star Ocean is up there in terms of like accessibility. There's a lot of options out there. It's action combat, so it's more or less it's fun. If you take away like what is it in what's that one that's really bad?
I mean, people think all of them are bad except for 2, so I don't know.
I honestly, the Divine Force, the newest one.
I'm not saying that that's objectively the case. I just know that people whine about Star Ocean all the time online, and like they all suck except for the second one.
We're not trying to appeal to those people.
I also don't think is true. But.
No, I think that's a whole. Those are not the beginner JRPGs people.
No. There's people who are stuck in the past.
So, I mean, there's also the remake of 2, which is incredible, and it's an easy gateway drug into everything else because it does look very good. It plays really well, and it has a lot of like quality of life things that they added and optimizations.
Towards the end, I think there's a difficulty spike, but
honestly, I didn't even see it. I was over leveled.
It's in the territory.
If you're over leveled, you might have missed that, but I definitely felt it.
I was way too powerful. I felt it. But you can also drop down the difficulty to make it easy for yourself.
That's a good point. Yeah, with the remake. I would put it in a B.
Yeah, I would say it's like
got the cool sci-fi elements too that are different.
Sci-fi stuff.
I would put it ahead of Radiata Stories because of accessibility.
Yeah, more options.
But then I would want to probably move Paper Mario. Then
you can jump Paper Mario up. I think that makes sense.
I think Paper Mario is more more.
You've got the original Paper Mario on NSO. You've got 1,000 Year Door.
Just because 1,000 Year Door exists, that remaster exists, and that's a perfect gateway drug for people. So like,
great.
I would say it's an easier sell for Star Ocean, but then like, we'll do that.
And the only reason Paper Mario is in an NES is because more than half of the series is not JRPG. So
yeah. Ease. Honestly, I think Ease is
at least A.
Like it's up there.
It's not S.
It's the action combat will win over anybody.
Yes. They're pretty straightforward. They're not like, I guess some of the older titles are more difficult, but some of the remasters have helped level the playing field a little bit on those.
Yeah, exactly. And
sorry, I missed some of the discussion. I was called away. We're talking about Ease?
Ease.
Yes. Okay. So go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, and then I was just going to say that, what was I going to say? You don't have to play them in order. Play wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't even make them in order. Like they're just
whatever.
Throwing darts at the timeline as they make these games.
And the great thing is that they're simple stories. So like you don't have to get too deep into the story all the time. It's all about the action combat. The music is awesome.
Killer. Yeah.
Like incredible. A lot of people who aren't JRPG fans necessarily love to get into Ease, and that's how they kind of branch into other JRPGs. I've seen a lot of that happen. So I've seen
that too.
I think it's a great gateway into that.
I think that should be maybe S then.
Honestly,
I'll do it.
I'm willing to do it.
Let's do S.
Okay.
I'll mess around with that for sure. Let's do it.
Yakuza.
Last one here.
So Yakuza, we've got one RPG.
Another good narrative example.
It's a great.
You can make an argument for the first 6 and 0 Yakuza being
action
JRPGs, like action RPGs.
Yes,
they are gateway drugs.
You even have random battles, which is crazy. They somehow took the worst aspect of most RPGs and made it a fun part of the experience.
Honestly, a lot of people, Yakuza is a gateway drug for them into JRPGs. I feel like it's because it's popular with amongst a lot of different types of people.
I think so. And there's been more interest in Japanese culture, like in the modern aspect.
Yeah. And then you have like,
cool
Like a Dragon that is an actual JRPG that was very popular.
They provided the gateway and then they push you through it.
It is.
Yeah.
They're like, you're into JRPGs now, deal with it.
It might be actually the perfect series for getting you into JRPGs because it eases you in and then it just gives you a JRPG.
Yeah.
I think it's an S, honestly. I'm sorry if that offends somebody, but I think it's an S.
Honestly, yeah.
And
they're accessible.
How much does the order matter though to play all those? Because it is kind of another time commitment. They're not as long as, of course, the Trails games, but
you can play 7 without playing any of them. I mean, you'll lose a little bit of references, like Kiryu shows up and things like that. So
sure.
If you don't know his story, but you don't need to know it because I didn't play all of them, and I played 7, and I was perfectly fine, and I enjoyed that. It was one of my favorite games at the time, but you do have to play if you want to play the one after 7, so Infinite Wealth. Yeah. You do need to know Kiryu's story, so you'd have to go back and play 0 through.
Do you have to know Kiryu's story to be able to play the game, or are you just going to be like, I wonder what the story behind this scene is, or this is piquing my interest? Are you gated from?
You're not gated, but
so your knowledge of Kiryu's story is not necessary to actually play the game. It's just you're going to be wondering
a lot
these things mean,
because the game is
playing
split.
Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Not understanding.
If you were to jump in with Kingdom Hearts 3, you'd be like, "What? Who are these people? What are they doing?"
Because you're split.
But you can still play it.
Yeah, okay. You can still play the game, but the game is split between what's it? Ichiban and Kiryu. So you kind of have to know how Kiryu got. It's going to be a bunch of references, and then Kiryu's part of the story is going to be very heavily Kiryu stuff.
It's like if you go to instead of playing Cold Steel 1 and 2, you go to 3.
Exactly, and you're just
do you have to know those events? No, but I think it enriches, to understand.
It enriches it to a point where it's not just color; it's sort of your overall enjoyment of it may be lessened if you don't have that backstory.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think you don't care for the story as much.
If you play Like a Dragon and you're like, hey, I love this world, I love this stuff that they're doing here, then you'll be motivated to go back and play the rest of the games.
No, 100%.
Then you'll play Infinite Wealth and you will be a happy person.
That's exactly how my thought process through that too. Yeah. That's what happened to me. I played Like a Dragon. I completed that game all together, and I want to go back and play all of them because it just hyped me up so much.
Okay. So, I think I'm comfortable with that, where that is.
Yeah.
So we did it.
We did it. That was a long one.
Blew through
that was 60 games,
whatever it is.
60 games minus some of the ones that we threw out.
In our S tier, just to throw out some highlights, you got your Dragon Quest, your Final Fantasy, your Pokemons, I feel like this is the definitive
I can't think of what to move around. I feel like it looks pretty good.
I'm comfortable with this.
Fudge some things, but I don't think we need to mess around with it.
No, I think
Dalla, do me a favor and download this or save it so we can share it on socials, because I'd like to see, and we can also provide the link to this tier maker, because I think it'd be fun if you as a listener want to go to this tier list and make it yourself and then share it on social media with us. Let us know how you would do it differently. I think that could be fun.
Yes.
So we'll make this accessible, our list, and also the raw list for you to do yourself on socials. So check that out.
Yeah.
We've been going for almost 2 hours, folks. So we should probably wrap this one up. Don't you think?
I think so.
It's been,
but it's been fun talking about all these different franchises and series.
Yeah. So rarely do you get a chance to do so many at one time. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And so we'd love to hear you guys and your opinions on the ones that we put in the did not play category, or maybe some other franchises that weren't included in this list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments how happy or angry you are.
Yeah. And we're thinking of doing more ranking lists in the future.
Yeah, this is fun. I enjoy this.
It is. It's fun. It's fun for us. If it's fun for you, then we would be happy to continue doing them. I enjoy talking through these things quite a bit. So
exactly.
Yeah, just let us know what type of ranking you would like to see maybe next.
Please. And thank you for watching, for listening. Thanks again to the members, and consider becoming a member if you're not. We really appreciate the support. Until next time, y'all.
Yeah.
And if you're a Pursuit member, stick around. Watch the after show. We'll hang out. We'll be goofy. It'll be fun. So
yes.
Until next time.
Good. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.